This is my favorite DJ of the podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Happy New Year. I hope your New Year's Eve gigs went well. If you're not a DJ, I hope your New Year's Eve went well. And welcome to a new year. 12 months to get your shit rolling. Make 2019 better than 2018. Thank you for listening. If you haven't rated this podcast, please do so now. I would really appreciate a 5-star rating. I think we're very, very high up on 5-star ratings, and I appreciate everyone that's ever put down a rating on this podcast. It's immensely helpful, and if you've ever had one bit of information that helps you in your life, give me 5 stars for this podcast. Give us 5 stars so we can continue to grow as a podcast. Some quick dates for January. Las Vegas, I'm in Foundation Room on Friday the 11th. I'm going to be making my debut inside of r.o.a.d Casino in Shreveport, Louisiana. Damn, my Spanish just came out on that. Louisiana on Saturday the 12th. I'm back at Houston in Aura on Sunday, January 13th. I hope I've been saying January. San Diego, I'm back in San Diego on Friday, the 18th of January, and in Las Vegas, the 19th of January. Back in New York City, January 25th. Well, not New York City, sorry. I messed it up. New York State. I'm in Lava. That is like exit 66 or something. I think Lava is in... Oh, it's going to kill me now. I forget what city it's in. Lava, New York is in what city? Come on, brain, work. I'm going to look it up. Lava Club NY. It is in Verona, New York. I'm going to be in Lava on the 25th of January. Then I'm going to be back at Slate in New York City on Saturday the 26th. Premiere in Atlantic City on Monday the 28th. Back in Vegas Tuesday, January 29th. And then we start off February at Sway in Fort Lauderdale, back home. And I'll read the rest of the dates once we get closer to February. So those are my dates that I always plug. And if you guys are anywhere near me, come on out. Send me a DM. Let's link up. Let's grab some food. Show me what's good in your city. I always respond. I respond to 99.9% of my DMs. So on Instagram, which my favorite DJ on Instagram, hopefully you guys are following. And today I was at CES, which stands for Consumer Electronics Show, I believe. So that's where I was at, and I went because DJ Obscene was DJing at the Ford booth, and Consumer Electronics Show. So that's what CES stands for. I had to double check here. DJ Obscene was DJing at the Ford booth, and he got me a buddy pass, and I was able to have the CES experience. I walked around, saw a bunch of really cool stuff, and I got a chance to check out the new Techniques turntables that are supposed to come out soon, hopefully. There's been a lot of buzz about these all over the place. I'm looking at Gizmodo right now, and it says Panasonic returns the Techniques 1200 turntable to its DJ roots with the new MK7. And it basically goes over how in 2016 they revived the Techniques 1200 line that they stopped in 2008, and they put out in 2016, they put out the Grand Class Techniques 1200, which was like $4,000 or $5,000 or something like that. Completely ridiculous price point, especially for DJs. But the new ones, the new MK7s, the Techniques 1200 MK7s are supposed to be $999 retail. $999. Yes. So $1,000 retail. I'm sure with markdown they'll be a little bit more affordable. That's the word I want. More affordable. My brain is going to fire up and every word is going to come to me in a second. So I'm sure that with markdowns at certain stores, they'll be a bit cheaper, but for now, what I understand is that retail is going to be $9.99. So I was walking through the Panasonic booth, which is a humongous booth, and all of a sudden I was hearing some retardedly ill scratching, and I'm like, yep, I got to go in that direction. And then I happened to stumble across Scratch Bastard, who was doing the showcasing for the Panasonic booth in the Techniques section, in the turntable section. And I got to basically get a very close look, and I put my hands all over the turntables, or at least one of them, rather. And I am here to report my opinion. And it's not a bad opinion, because I love that Techniques is back in the space. And I did not play with them. I have not DJ'd with them. So let's just go back and give my credentials for my opinion. I got my first turntable. I learned how to say turntable just now, but I got my first turntable when I was 14, and I had a pair of Techniques turntables probably from about 2001 all the way up to 2016. So probably a 15-year run with different turntables, not just the same ones. And I've played with Techniques turntables all over the world. And when people say that, I'm like, well, all over the world? Nah, it's not all over the world, but in multiple countries. Let's say about 10 different countries I've played with Techniques turntables. I've played with turntables, and I think I counted the other day is like 27 to 30 states. I've played with turntables, some CDJs, but for the most part it's been turntables, and for the most part it's been Techniques 98% of the time. So I've been around Techniques turntables for a large portion of my life. I know what they feel like. I know how they're built. The Techniques 1200 line is the best turntable line in the history of humanity. It is the most robust, strong, resilient, fantastic turntable that was ever created, in my opinion. And I think that was part of the reason why they basically discontinued it, because there were turntables that I would play on at the nightclubs that I DJ at that were made in the 80s, and in maybe in some cases in the 70s, even though I don't think that they came with pitch control that far back, but for sure in the 80s, because I remember looking up a serial number or something like that and finding out that it was made in the mid to early 80s, and I was like, holy shit, this thing is in great condition considering it was as old as I was, and it was in the club every night. Imagine going to a club every single night, what the hell you would look like. That turntable functioned. Nobody that goes to a nightclub every night functions. So I think the reason why they stopped making them was because when someone bought a Techniques turntable, they only had to buy one. It lasts forever. And if something goes wrong, there were a lot of spare parts that were easily attainable through multiple different avenues, whether it be eBay, resellers, or people that parted out their turntables, potentially some sort of electronic shop like a Radio Shack back in the day would have maybe parts. I don't remember if they do or not, but things like that, you could find parts. And if the pitch went out, I remember you could buy just the pitch, just the pitch slide. It was like $90, and you would open the turntable, plug it in, and you'd be done. I think there was some soldering that went on, but it was very minimal. The turntable, the 1200s were very easy to work on and very easy to replace the parts that were broken. If your tone arm bent, you could just buy a tone arm, and it was like $40-50. The big thing I think was the motor, and those things were resilient. They just never quit. And if you did have to replace it, you could just buy the motor. You didn't have to buy a whole thing. So I think that's part of the reason why they may have stopped making them, just because there was not that much interest. Everyone who had them had, if you were a DJ, you probably had two. If you were a DJ that was really balls deep into DJing, you probably had more. I was talking to Scratch Bastard, and he's like, yo, I got 7 Techniques. So he's got 7 of them. And I think he said that there was 3.5 million ever made. So it doesn't seem like that much, but I think they're so sturdy that people didn't need more than just the ones that they bought, and they discontinued them. Now, once they discontinued them, and it's been a few years, I started looking for something else, something potentially more new. And along came Pioneer, and I believe the model is the PLX 1000 that I have. Let me just double check here. Yeah, I believe that's what it is. So the PLX 1000 are made by Pioneer, which I went to the Pioneer booth at CES today also, and it was in the car audio section of CES. So I was like looking around. I'm like, where are the CDJs? Where are your 900s? Where are the mixers? And they were like, nah, we sold the Pro Audio off to another company. We don't handle it anymore. They just use the Pioneer name, and I think they use the Pioneer something or other. I don't know if it was assembly or product line or something, but we no longer deal with Pro Audio. So heads up, if we notice a specific deterioration in quality of Pioneer things, it's because the new company is dropping the ball. Hopefully they do a great job and they make it even better, but apparently, look, this is how far distanced Pioneer is from the Pioneer DJ stuff. The only thing that there was a very sad DJ booth around the corner in the Pioneer booth. It was like all of the Pioneer car stuff, and then you went around it like to leave, and then there was like a little DJ booth with, I believe, I don't remember if it was CDJs or turntables, but there was 2 decks set up, a mixer, and a TV behind it that said Pioneer Pro Audio, and that was it. That's the extent of the Pioneer Pro Audio booth at CES. So heads up, they might be done. Hopefully they're not. Hopefully the company that takes over does a great job. But I bought a pair of the PLX 1000 turntables because I liked the fact that they were brand new. They had a cool setup where you could just remove the RCA cables, remove the power cable. So if you're in a pinch and you're somewhere where you're playing, whether at home, you lose a cable, you're cleaning, whatever, you can just replace it. One of the main failure points for Technics turntables, as robust as they were, was and is the RCA cables and the ground cable. They tend to get mashed up, and you have to replace them. Those are usually what I would see in nightclubs was the biggest modification that people made to these turntables was internally grounding the RCAs inside of the turntable, and then getting rid of obviously the ground wire and changing the RCA cables to something more robust. I guess the ones that they put on originally were not super sturdy. So the Pioneer turntable, the PLX 1000, had really cool 3 sector or pitch, 3 option pitch, I guess. It lets you do plus, I think it's +8. Let me look at a picture just to make sure. +8, +16, and +50, yeah. So the reason why I thought that was cool was because when I make mixes, sometimes I want to really speed up or really slow down an acapella or a beat or something, or a sound effect. And instead of warping it in Ableton, I could just play it from Serato at +50, +30, whatever pitch, and that's very helpful. So I saw these things as a positive, and even though I did feel the PLX 1000s before I bought them, I went to Guitar Center or something, I noticed that there was a substantial quality decrease in the way they were built. And this was highlighted by one of the turntables that I actually bought. I bought them on Craigslist. I bought them from some dude, but they were in the box. They were sealed. I opened one of them, and one of them had like a bent tone arm. And I'm pretty sure that was like from factory. Quality control might have messed it up, but the tone arms felt a little bit softer than Technics tone arm. Everything on the PLX 1000s feels more modern, and it has great features, but they're not built as robustly as those first generation, and by first generation I mean the first couple of years of Technics turntables. I'm actually going to look up the Technics 1200 lineage, just so I can more correctly identify like what years they went out and like the history. So the SL 1200 was introduced in 1972. The MK2 models, wow, 1979. The MK2, released in 79, came in silver and matte black. They improved the motor and shock resistance and the rotary pitch control to slider style. This became the base model and is the oldest, whose production continued until 2010. So, prior to that, they had something else for the pitch slide. But in 1979, the MK2, the form that we know, pretty much came into effect. And then they did the 1210 MK2, which was black. Then they, in 89, the MK3. Wow, that's from 89. I remember, well, I guess they started in 89. But I remember playing with 1200 MK3s, and I was like, yo, this is super dope. Was it MK3s? I'm sorry, I might be wrong. They could have been M3Ds. But point being, geez, they released the MK2s in 79 with the slide pitch control, which means that a lot of the turntables that I probably played on were from the late 70s, 79, early 80s. Incredible. The way that they were built is unmatched. The PLX 1000s by Pioneer are very good for studio use if you're going to keep them at home. They are very good if you're going to take very good care of them. The Technics 1200s, the iterations before the MK7, and which I'm going to get to in a second, they were so resilient that you could kind of beat them up and they would just keep going. That being said, when I touched the MK7 today, and I ran the motor, I pressed stop, I pushed it, I touched the pop-up light, I played with the tone arm, I noticed that the quality of the 1200 MK7 is very, very, very similar to the PLX 1000. I think that the idea here is to compete with what's on the market, and what's on the market is PLX 1000 Pioneer turntable. I think is probably as good as we've had post Technics 1200s. Now there's like reloop turntables that I haven't really played with, but those seem to be pretty scarce out there. I think that the ones that have like the buttons built into them, I haven't played with them. There was like a straight arm turntable also. As far as mass production in the mainstream for what we do, I think Pioneer put out the best alternative to Technics 1200s. And when I touched the MK7, it felt more like a PLX 1000 than it did a 1200 from the first couple of models, whether it be the MK2, the M3D, or the MK5G, which I guess would be like the newest release. The MK5s were released in 2002. MK6, interesting, release in Japan, and they were limited versions with the gold, which I looked into buying, but I didn't really find anything stateside that was a good price. Anyway, the new Technics turntable that's scheduled to drop at some point this year, I'm guessing, the 1200 MK7, it feels more like a PLX 1000 from Pioneer than it does the older iterations of the Technics turntables. It doesn't feel robust. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel as well put together as the old ones. The tone arm felt lighter. It felt less robust. It wasn't as strong. The pop-up light is an interesting pop-up light. They don't have, the old Technique, if you're a turntable guy, the old Techniques had the pop-up light, and then right next to it was a little button that you push down. Pop-up light goes up, and then to put it down, you just push the pop-up light down. I'm going to stutter a lot less. Let me actually take a sip of my tea here and keep going. So the pop-up light had a little button where you would hit it, and it would pop up, then you push it, and it would go down. The new pop-up light on the MK7 is a standalone. So if it's down, you push it and it goes down and then comes up. And then if you want to put it back down, you just push it down and it stays. Now, I noticed when I tried the new pop-up light thing, that it was like kind of rocking inside of its space, and it felt not as flush as it used to. I was like, wait, why does this jiggle around inside of its own like hole? I don't understand. Maybe they're not entirely done with the tightening of the mass-produced future model, but from what I saw, and also the turntable, the tone arm on the weight on the tone arm, the tone arm itself looks like a PLX 1000 tone arm in black. I don't know if they come in black on the PLX 1000, but the tone arm, I believe, was black, and it was made out of it felt like a light aluminum, whereas the old 1200 tone arm feels a lot more metallic. It felt like a sturdier metal than what I felt today. The motor also, when I hit start on the motor, it did not feel like a 1200 motor. It did not feel like the old motors. It felt like a PLX 1000 motor. Again, there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. But I think here's my prediction. I think when they drop this turntable, the real turntable people, if they're not paid by Techniques, okay, like let's just put that out there. Like we already had a thing with Red Bull where people that were paid by Red Bull didn't say much about the Red Bull thing that happened. If you're not paid by Techniques and you're a turntable person, I imagine when you feel and see these and you actually play with them, that you're going to immediately hop on eBay and try to buy an old pair from, the early 2000s, because you're going to notice the same things that I did. If you're a true turntable connoisseur, I don't think that you're going to be surprised, and I don't think that you're going to be making this purchase. I don't think so. I'll tell you guys right now, it doesn't really interest me. From what I saw today, if someone said, hey, you're going to buy the new Techniques, based on just today, now I don't know if they have the turntables, again, are in their final form. I don't know if they're going to change things. With releases like this, I imagine that there's a lot of things that go into them. But if they were in the final form, what I saw today, I'm passing. Not only that, I'm hopping on eBay and trying to pick something up from like the early 2000s just to have. Because I don't have a pair of Techniques right now, and I'd like to have them, considering what I saw today. Now, again, they're not bad at all. They're not a bad turntable, but they're more PLX 1000 from Pioneer than they are Techniques 1200 from the early 2000s or the 90s or the 80s or late 70s from 79, which the first iteration, which we just went over. When your local pro audio shop gets these in stock, I suggest you go out there and play with them, feel them, see, maybe even hopefully they'll have them next to the PLX 1000s and you guys can see the comparison, see how they feel. I heard from a very reliable source that there was some feedback that the turntables were giving, maybe more so than standard. I felt the rubber feet on the turntables, they felt normal. I didn't really feel anything different on the feet. I can't really tell if they're the same like heavy, robust feet. I wasn't able to unscrew them and pull it out, but generally not impressed. Not impressed. I think there's going to be some backlash because it would have been better, in my opinion, if they did not give it the SL 1200 line. If Techniques put this out as something different, like SL 1000s, or if they went to like a different model number, I think that they would have nailed it, because then it'd be like, this is a new product. But to continue the 1200 lineage with this turntable that I saw today, which is not bad, but imagine if, just for the sake of comparison, if you have, or you've played with a Pioneer PLX 1000 turntable and you strip it of its name and then you just put on top of it SL 1200 MK7 Techniques on the side, which is the logo on the side looked pretty dope. And they're like, here's the new release, this is it. And you knew it for what it was with those logos. I don't think that it would be a worthy continuation of the SL 1200 line, the legendary SL 1200 line. And I think that there's going to be some backlash because when people actually get a hold of it, they're going to be really upset that the SL1200 name gets put on something that is probably not so worthy of its legacy. Again, and got some static in my headphones for some reason. Could be that cable. Again, this is my opinion, and I'm going to move on now because we got some really great questions to read. But from what I saw today, it's a pass for me. And, I'm not complaining because I don't own a pair and I don't care. And the PLX 1000s work fine. And they're actually a bit cheaper. I got the pair for $1,000, which means I paid $500 for them. If, we'll see what happens when the techniques come out. That's my prediction. There's going to be backlash. People are not going to be that interested. And there will be a call for the old turntables to come back. So, in regards to your questions, I shit on Serato DJ so hard on the last podcast, or the second to last, whenever the hell it was. I shit on Serato DJ so hard, and I have some rebuttals here from some people that were sent in. So to be fair, I want to read them and give a different point of reference for people that might be using all of the features that Serato DJ has. So here we go. This is from DJ Saggio. Hey Conflict, how's it going? I love the latest podcast. Totally got where you were coming from in your rant about Serato DJ Pro. I personally have no issues with the software. I have a brand spanking new maxed out MacBook Pro USB-C and all two, so I shouldn't have a problem. But from a reliability standpoint for older laptops, Scratch Live is definitely the go-to. I am, however, one of the DJs who uses more than 25% of the features in Serato DJ Pro when playing out regularly and can list them out below. After that, I'd like to pose a question and offer a solution. So, DJ Saggio, features I use every time I DJ with Serato DJ Pro. Club Kit. That's nice. Plug into the mixer. I've had mixed results with Club Kit. If the mixer might be a little bit older, maybe a bit worn, for some reason, you might get dropouts. The cable, the actual USB plug might be kind of shitty. Who knows what firmware is in that mixer. So it's been hit or miss for me. Sometimes it works flawlessly, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's when I've had to use Serato DJ, which I don't use when I have the option. And I will go out of my way to use Scratch Live, as I did recently when I plugged into an SL4 box and my Scratch Live, for some reason, gave me the beach ball. And I think this is because they updated the firmware on the SL4. So my Serato gave me beach ball. And I don't know why, because it never does that, but I plugged in my SL3, restarted the program, middle of the night, plugged in my SL3 box, and it worked like a dream. So, Saggio, every time I DJ with Serato DJ Pro, he uses a club kit, he uses pitch and time. I can't use pitch and time because if I have pitch and time on, when I scratch, it sounds like shit. Because pitch and time is not meant for scratching, it's meant for melodic mixing and for putting things together that wouldn't regularly go together. So if you have if you don't know what pitch and time is, it's basically an addition to Serato DJ. If your right deck is in, let's say specifically key, we'll go by the Camelot wheel. If it's in 1A and then your left deck is in 6A, they're not going to match. Based on numbers and letters, they don't match. So what you can do with pitch and time is turn up the right deck by 5 semitones to go up to 6A, or turn down the other one. I think it'd be like, 7 or 12, or however mathematically you get to these. So you change the key of the track inside of Serato DJ to match up. And this is very beneficial when you are doing like an a cappella blend or something like that. Regularly, I would not recommend it because the song changes the way that it sounds and it might throw people off. But pitch and time for me is not useful because I can't scratch. And if I scratch, it sounds very muddy and it sounds like, it sounds grainy because the pitch and time is trying to affect the pitch as I'm moving it back and forth really quickly. It just doesn't work. 64-bit support. If I was more of a tech guy, I could figure out what the hell that is. Sync with instant doubles. So I don't use sync, but I do have instant doubles on Serato Scratch Live. He uses sync with some transitions and bigger BPM jumps too, especially EDM. So I don't use that. I do it live. HID mode with CDJ 2000 Nexus 2. I hear that it works well for some people. Colored waves when you adjust the EQ. He says, I really like this. 8 cue points. Great for private events. And working with an MC when you have to trigger sounds. Okay, 8 cue points. I think Serato will Scratch Live have red, yellow, green, turquoise, purple. 5. Beat jump for setting cue points. Controller support. Beat grids. I use Record Buddy for the backup. Practice mode. Smart sub-crates. High resolution display. So from everything that you mentioned, the club kit I've used maybe a couple times, and what's this other one? Practice mode. Yeah, practice mode is really, really, really dope. The fact that they give you 2 decks and you can basically play with the songs. Like, I will use practice mode every now and then when I have an idea. I think it's a fantastic feature in Serato DJ Pro. Everything else, I don't use. So I can see how it's beneficial to use Agio. And he goes on to say, can I DJ with all those features? Absolutely. Does it make the job easier? Yes. But all those things are just seasoning. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I'd argue that some of those things are more than seasoning. If you're doing, well, I guess some sync with some transitions. Yeah, I guess it is seasoning. Yeah, because you're doing the work at the end of the day. So here's a question from Sergio. What do you propose as a solution? And I'd love for you to dive into this. And what do you like about Serato DJ Pro and want to see in Scratch Live? Well, the practice mode is dope, and Club Kit is dope. But those things will never be in Scratch Live because they're not going to go backwards and rebuild the program. So what is my solution? There is no solution, dude. There is none. The solution is to remain hard-headed and not update and move on, because Serato DJ is a lesser program, in my opinion. There's really no solution. I guess what I could try to do is bypass the operating system, which I've read that you can do in some of the newer operating systems, and put in Scratch Live and try to run Serato DJ and Scratch Live. I remember speaking to a DJ when El Capitan first came out, and they said, you can't use Scratch Live with it. He's like, it works fine on my computer. So sometimes you get a unicorn computer where everything works well, but who knows moving forward if the iterations of the operating system get updated, if you'll still be able to do that. There's no solution for this. There isn't, because there's no solution. Serato DJ is not going to go out of their way to build a whole new program that doesn't have all these things and make it simpler. I don't believe they would do that. And Scratch Live, it's not going to get an update. I mean, unless somebody, I don't know how much it would cost. Like, I don't know. Here's an idea. Crowdfund and figure out how much it would cost for somebody to get into Scratch Live and make it so it's usable with the newest operating system. Like, how much would that cost? If anyone out there has computer friends that are in the tech business, like, what would it cost to get an old program to update it and put it on the newest operating system by Apple and make it retroactively work with all of the other operating systems prior? What would that cost? I mean, if that costs $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, I'm pretty sure we can fucking crowdfund the shit out of that and make it happen. I mean, I could probably pull 15 grand from just a couple of friends, like, in the next 4 minutes. So I don't know exactly what it would cost, but if it's possible to update an older program without having whatever the source files or source code, again, I'm not a techie, but whatever created the program in the first place, I don't think that Scratch Live would ever, that Rain or Serato would part with those files to allow somebody to try that. I don't think, anyway. Nah, they wouldn't. So Sergio goes on to say, my solution for Serato, strip Serato DJ Pro down to bare bones on the Scratch Live. Yeah, but they already, like, when I brought this up, I went to a Serato thing, in Vegas like months ago, maybe years ago at this point. I was like, hey, we don't need any of these features. He's like, well, you can turn them off, but they're still there. They still weigh down the program. So their solution is just turn everything off. But I'm like using it every night, bro. Like it's still laggy as fuck. And then Sagios continues to say, from there, let users choose the features they want. So they kind of already have it like that, but it's not optimal. Anyway, I'm gonna move on so I don't sound like, oh crap, the next one's about r.o.a.d. DJ too. Okay, let's just read this one and get it out of the way. This is from Benjamin DeGraff. I DM'd you in the past about getting your thoughts on r.o.a.d. DJ. I had it crash on me once in the past. Luckily, it didn't cost me a gig. Many older school DJs in my circle don't like the pro version and have remarks similar to, if it isn't broke, why fix it? I used Scratch Live in the past and have an SL3 box. I have the new pro version without much drama. Good. But I agree with you that forcing people to switch from Scratch Live to pro ain't cool on r.o.a.'s behalf. Agreed. My brother is much more of a tech nerd and swears by the new record box. Actually, the record box thing has been coming up a lot, but he states that it's more responsive and fluid. I don't know that they have the marketing influence to make enough people switch, though. I think in this new digitalized age of DJ technology, these platforms are always going to be discussed and scrutinized. Thanks for all that you do. Well, I agree with you, and I would wonder if anyone has record box experience out there. Can you use them with Serato DJ boxes? I'm not opposed to learning a whole new platform. I'm sure you can plug them in directly into Pioneer turntables. And the new what was I going to say? I was going to say something else, and then I was reading virtual DJ from this next email. So I'm just going to use the word new in this sentence. Here's a new email I'm going to read. I am a user of Virtual DJ. I've learned on it, and I'm still using it at the moment writing this email. Cool. I've been thinking about going to Serato, seeing it's how the software that comes with the mixer I'm looking to buy. The mixer is the Duo MK2. I don't hear you speak about Virtual DJ very much. Have you ever used it, or are you not a fan? Would like to know your thoughts on it. And this is from DJ Noisebox. Well, I don't think that I've ever used Virtual DJ. From my understanding, Virtual DJ is like the entry-level beginner digital decks for your computer. That you basically, the sound goes out from the computer headphones, unless they've changed it, and you plug the computer headphones. It's a cable that's like the 1/8 inch plug into the computer headphone jack, and that goes into RCA cables, and then you plug that into a mixer, and you would just one channel out to speakers in stereo. But the problem with that is that I'm not sure if they've changed it, but when that was the case with Virtual DJ, you don't get, I think, a really good reflection of sound from an 1/8 inch plug into massive speakers. Now, I could be wrong, and this could just be outdated thinking or the way that it was explained to me, but it didn't make sense for me or my colleagues to get into Virtual DJ because we used live turntables, and I don't know if with Virtual DJ you use turntables. I think everything is on the computer, so that would limit the ability to scratch and to do a lot of, well, not scratch, because I'm sure maybe with the mouse pad you can do it, but it was not a program that I think was looked at as a very serious DJ program when I was choosing a program to go into. They might have updated. It might be a great program today. I don't know too much about it. I can tell you that in my 15 years of club DJing, I have seen... Has it been 15 years? Hold on. In my 10 years, this is what I just tell everybody. Actually now 11. In my 11 years of professional DJing, I have seen Virtual DJ twice, and one time in the club. The other time, I don't remember where I saw it, but I remember seeing it somewhere else. So I don't talk about it because it's not something that's widely used in the professional circuit, and Nothing wrong with it, but if you're thinking about getting Serato, you should definitely get it, especially with the controller, because when you pair Serato DJ with a controller it was built for, or the controller was built for the program, it works well. DJ BPM from Jersey. Hey, what's up, brother? First of all, I want to say thank you for making a space and time for DJs like me that want to do nothing but succeed and learn every day more and more. And let me tell you, your podcast has been very educational for me. Your opinions and advices come in clutch lots of times. Thanks. Cool. Thank you for listening, BPM. I'm going to be in, I already read my dates, but come see me at Atlantic City. My question is this. Recently, I've been super dedicated to the craft. I've been putting in work, self-promo, sharpening in my performances. I feel like I've revolutionized myself in general. Even though I haven't reached my optimum goal, I am still here hungrier than ever and won't stop the grind. Not too long ago, I realized the amount of negative people around me, and it's pretty large. I have friends that retired from DJing at clubs because they can't achieve what they're looking for. I have even had a friend telling me it's not worth it to keep pursuing my dream because now it's all about social media exposure and not about talent anymore, and to look for another career. Which I disagree and agree at the same time, because you need some sort of talent to stand out from the rest. But here in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, the game is in really bad shape due to famous DJs with no talent. Due to famous DJs with no talent charging top dollar. I'm booked every weekend for the last 5 years at least, but I'm not settling for this. I want to travel more. I want to charge more. I want to play different clubs, etc. Do you think it's a waste of time for me to keep going with this due to the game switching direction it's going? Why do you think it's important for me to keep these negative? Why do you think it's important to keep these negative people away? And how do I do it in a polite and professional way? Do you have any secret tips for DJs developing their marketing? Thanks for your time. We got to link up soon when you get back out here. You are a great role model. Thank you, BPM. Thank you for your nice words. So, I'm sorry that the game in the tri-state area is fucked up, but you have a lot of people. There are definitely more DJs than nightclubs in the tri-state area, and clubs look for something that they can sell. So you might have a friend of a DJ that's a booker at a club, and that DJ might not be the best DJ in the world, but that guy's getting the job because his friend is the booker. That's how it goes. And that's everywhere. It's not just the tri-state area. So do I think it's a waste of time for you to keep going because the game is switching directions? No, because if you stop because the game that you're playing is evolving or switching directions, then you weren't made to make it in the first place. You have to continue with this because everything changes. Everything. I'm not a sports guy, but the way that people played football, because I watch old, highlights sometimes whenever they're, I don't know, whatever the fuck they're showing on ESPN. They show people playing football back in, the 40s or the 50s, and they were wearing like leather helmets, and then in the 70s they like upgraded to metal helmets, and then you see how they used to play in like the late 80s, early 90s. These guys were slamming the shit out of each other, forearm blows. I forget what this guy's dude is like. This guy was known for like the hammer, and he would like forearm clothesline people, knock them. And now it's like the game of football is completely different. Now you have more padding, better helmets, you have concussion testing, you have concussion protocols, you have lawsuits against the way that the game used to be played. Like, and now the calls are, as far as I understand, are a lot more favorable towards people getting hit. So, do you think that people at the NFL Combine are thinking to themselves, maybe I should quit because it's not how it used to be? Of course not, man. You got to just keep moving. You have to do the best that you can with the game that's provided to you in front of you. Like, one person's not going to change everything. But one person can make an impact, a big enough impact to help change everything. But one person can't do it on their own, right? So you have to be the person in your immediate circle that is the person that is trying to make a change. So you have to be the guy. You got to be the guy that works hard, that practices hard, that does well at social media. When it's time to perform, you perform at a high level. When people tell you, yo, you should just quit, be like, of course I'm not going to quit, man. Like, why don't you come over to my house and let's practice, and maybe you can fall in love with what you used to do again. You know, like, just be nice. Some people are at that stage where they look at the game and they're like, I'm not even going to try because it's changed so much. I'm not interested in attempting it. And that's fine. But just my advice is don't be that person. Be the person that looks at the game evolving and thinks, how can I get to the front of the line now that things are different? Okay, granted, now we have to work on our social media, and that's just the space. It's not just the DJ game, it's everywhere. That's exactly what all companies look for. How many followers do you have? How many likes do you have? How much this do you have? You know, who knows about you? That's just how it works. That's the world we're living in. We can stomp our feet and say, that's not how it should be. It should be about talent. Hey, I agree with you, but I'm not going to sit here and stomp my feet because I got money that I'm trying to make. And I got shit that I'm trying to do. I got places I got to fly to play music for people, to make them have a good time. So I'm not going to sit here and stomp my feet and say, it should be about talent. And I'm not doing that shit, man. And I don't think you should either. Because you're a smart person, you're a talented DJ, you're in a circle where I'm sure there are other talented DJs. Just pull from the positivity. Don't go towards the negative shit, because that's just going to drag you down. Negativity is like an anchor around your foot. And you can try running as hard as you can, and you're like, why am I not going anywhere? I'm trying so hard. And that negativity will weigh you down until you quit. So my advice is, no, it's not a waste of time. Keep moving forward. Keep doing what you're doing. It doesn't take a year. It doesn't take 2 years. It takes many years. It takes the amount of time that you look around you, and there are DJs that quit because they have to get a job because they're not good enough. They don't practice enough, or they don't work hard enough at their social media, so they have to do something else, and they drop out of the game. More people drop out. It takes years for you to consistently grow your talent, grow your skill, grow your product, while people around you drop out. And before you know it, a couple of years down the line, you'll be the guy because you've done everything right, and everyone around you, for one reason or another, had to drop out of the game. And hopefully you have strong friends, strong teammates, DJs that go with you and continue to, I had in Joe Maz, Joe and I, when we were DJing in Miami, I would hear him DJ and I'd be like, you motherfucker. That was like the greatest set that I've ever heard in my life at this club. And we were DJing back to back. We do like an hour each. I don't know how we'd split time, maybe half an hour, but an hour each. So he'd do an hour, I do an hour, he'd do an hour, I do an hour. And I would hear him play and I'd be like, yo, you're such a fucking great DJ. Like, this is upsetting. I want to get back on right now and do better than you. Now, I wanted him to have the greatest set possible. And to this day, obviously, anything that Joe Maz or any of my fellow colleague DJs on the Rich Group do, I'm there to support, whether it be in the DJ field or outside of it, because I think that if you have a strong team around you, you're going to be strong yourself. So, and it's helpful when you are slacking a little bit to hear the truth from people. They're like, yo, you got to do this better, or this is not good. It's really helpful to have a strong team. Now, I'm not saying you have to, but you can use motivation from other places. If you go out and you listen to a DJ that's better than you, or that's playing a good set, go back home and figure out how you can be better than what you just heard. I would hear Joe Maz play and I'd be like, yo, that was the greatest hour I've ever heard. Now it's my hour and I have to keep that energy up. I have to do better. And that pushed me to do better. Maybe find your thing that pushes you to do better and be better, whatever that might be. And it's important for you to keep those negative people away from you for the way that I've mentioned, or for the reason I've mentioned. And how you do it in a polite and professional way, well, you could tell them that. Yo, come over to my house, let's scratch a little bit, see if you fall in love again. Or, I know that the game is hard. I'm not going to quit, though, because I like a challenge. I understand what you're telling me. And believe me, I want to succeed. I don't want to fail. So I'm going to continue to push, because if I allow doubt to enter in my mind, that is like, it's like a cancer on my forward momentum. If I think to myself I might not make it, it's a cancer that's going to end up killing me at some point, because I'm going to believe somewhere deep down that I'm not good enough, and I don't want that thought to enter my mind. That's all. I mean, I don't know how else. It depends on what they say, I guess. Just use your best judgment. Don't be mean. Unless they're mean to you, obviously. And then your last question is, do you have any secret tips for DJs to develop their marketing? Not really, man. Gary V, I mean, he's pretty dope, and he has a lot of great, they're very simple ideas. Get up and do it. That's it. You have an idea, get up and do it. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to schedule it for later or when I get time. Or no, do it now. It's like there's nothing that you might have an idea about that would take multiple days to figure out. It might take multiple hours, but just do it. That's the secret tip. There you go. Secret tip. Whenever you have an idea, I want to do a photo shoot with this kind of thing. Get on Amazon right now, buy all the shit for the photo shoot. While you're buying the shit, call a photographer, be like, yo, when's the next time you have a studio date? When can we do a photo shoot? I'm buying my gear right now. I have this idea. I want you to shoot it. How much will it cost? Cool. Let's set it for this day. Now you've already done 90% of the work. All you got to do is show up and do it. And that, you could literally do it in the amount of time that I said, just do it. Shia LaBeouf, just do it. Just do it. DJ Wally, here's a crazy story. I guess this would be I forget what it's called, DJ Corner, DJ Diary. Shout out to Mark Twyman in Reno for giving me the idea of DJ Diary. So, this is DJ Wally. I was hired as a DJ for a private New Year's Eve event. The client found me on a services app. I don't know them at all. At first, it was a typical night of DJing, dancing, and alcohol. As the night progressed, everyone was drinking more and, of course, getting drunk. At one point, a glass of beer was dropped on the floor. Although they acknowledged dropping it, it took a while for them to clean it up. Later, my primary contact was barefoot on the dance floor, and another bottle was dropped. But this time, the bottle went more unnoticed, and people were still dancing. Did you notice it, Wally? Then, minutes later, after she returns with a mop and a dustpan trying to sweep up the glass shards, still barefoot, not a good idea. After that bottle was swept up, 20 minutes later, another bottle is dropped, and my client is so drunk she's just dancing, not giving a shit. I actually make it my civic duty to stop the music and tell the crowd she's barefoot, and someone needs to clean it up. Congratulations, Wally, you're a fantastic person. The night concluded with a bunch of glass still on the floor, my client with blood on her feet, and she had this to say, "You're the best DJ ever, I fucks with you." That's so good. What a way to start the new year. Cheers, Wally. You did a great job stopping the music. That's probably what I think everyone should do in that situation. All right. I have, let's see. I have a few questions lined up here, but I think I'm going to, okay, this is a short one. Hi, Conflict. I wanted to let you know I really enjoy your podcast. I listen to every episode. I find it very informative, not just in DJing, but some life perspectives. I don't really have a question at this time. I just noticed you were going to be at Slate in New York and wanted to see if you want to meet up before your set. Sure, dude. Just send me a DM, my favorite DJ, and maybe we can get something cracking. I believe that there are several people that have already messaged me about New York. Maybe we can get like a family dinner going somewhere. Maybe Ron can set us up. So just send me a DM and we'll talk about it. So here we go. This is going to be the last one, I think, for the day. This is my... I would say to do the intro again because the first thing, mine. Anyway. My name is Manu, a.k.a. DJ Unam, from Germany. And I really enjoy listening to your podcast on my way home from DJ gigs lately. If you are... By the way, I already read this, but Manu, if you're German... Your English is fantastic. 28 years old and DJing for about 6 years now. Surpassed the 100 booking mark in 2018. Congratulations. Mainly playing black and urban music with a bit of open format. Now, for my American listeners, that might be upset that I used the word black music is a very common European term, and it's not derogatory at all. It's like hip hop. Got a residency in one of the South Germany's biggest club companies. Got a residency with one of South Germany's biggest club companies. 3 big clubs, 2 small ones. Good, that's great. And also some small clubs and bars in Switzerland and South Germany. Hey man, hook me up with some clubs. I want to go back to Europe. Right now, I'm listening. I'm just kidding. It's too far. Right now, I'm listening to your episode from the end of September, so I apologize in advance if any of these questions have been answered already. I got some comments I might want to add to your recent topics, if you don't mind. Some months ago, I came across CBD, as you mentioned in one of your episodes. I started vaping CBD liquid, and there's a combined pill, CBD and melatonin, CBD with melatonin in Germany, which really aids in getting my day and night rhythm together due to the fact I still have a regular job. So that would be great advice for other DJs struggling with that. Yeah, if you want to try to regulate your sleep and you don't want to take drugs and don't want to get drunk, CBD definitely helps. The non-psychoactive version of cannabis will put you to sleep, and it helps you relax. Now, from what I understand, you probably shouldn't do it every night because it prevents you from getting a deep sleep where you can dream. But I might be wrong. You should do your own research. As I mentioned above, I'm passing the 100 booking mark, almost earning more money through DJing than through my regular job. I'm an IT guy in a hospital. It made me think of quitting and fully focusing on music. Due to having a desk job that doesn't have a much workload, I'm able and allowed to do many private things while working. For example, sorting out and pre-listening to new tracks, working on social media, doing my tax work, etc. So Manu asks, should I quit my job as long as it stays in this condition? Manu, considering you're 28 and you're having a really good DJ year, here's my suggestion. It's a tough one, man. That's a tough situation. You're making almost as much. Let me see. Are you making almost as much? So look, you're making a double salary, Manu. If I can be honest with you, this is what I would tell myself. I'm going to tell you what I would tell me at 28 if I was working a day job and I was DJing and I was making 2 paychecks. I think you should do both for another 2 or 3 years. If not, if you can, if you're able, if your body gives you, you're 28, you're still really young. If your body gives you enough, you treat it well, exercise, if you eat well. I mean, you're in Europe, so it's I imagine that you're in decent shape because you guys don't have as many fat people. You should do both, and here's the reason why. Because one day, whether it be in 10 years or 15 years, the DJing is not going to be around as good as it is right now. You're good now, maybe you'll get to great. But if you have 2 sources of income, you should do your best to right now. Don't spend money on dumb shit. Don't buy sneakers and phones and stupid toys and an extra big car. Don't do any of that shit. Please put your money. You have a family member that is good with money. You have a rich uncle. You have a rich grandfather that is in the stock market in Germany or in Europe. You have a banker friend that you trust. Talk to them and tell them, I have extra cash. What should I be doing with it? I don't know what kind of investment vehicles that exist in the European Union and in Germany specifically, but you have a very big blessing on your hands, which is you're probably making very good money. You should try to buy a property, try to buy a house. I don't know if it's the same thing where it is in the States. It's like, when you own your house, I know Germans are really big on no debt and no credit, which is good because you're in a great position. But again, talk to someone close to you that you trust, a family member that can help you put this money somewhere where it will be beneficial to you if next year your DJ career goes down a little bit and you make half the money. Or if the year after something happens and you can't DJ because you have to take care of somebody in your family or you get sick, whatever the case might be. When it's really good, start stacking as much of the money that you can and put it into places where it's going to be beneficial for you in the future. Let's say that you have the ability to be a DJ and work your IT job for the next 5 years, and you can do it and you're healthy. That's what I think you should do. Now, if at some point it becomes too much for you, you already had this IT job. Okay, this is plan B. Plan A was what I just mentioned. Plan B. If at some point it's too much, you start working even more at night. You start making more money as a DJ than as an IT guy. More places want to book you. Everything's going really well. You're moving along, and you think to yourself, I can't do both anymore. Then you already had this IT job. I'm guessing you have a degree from a university or something like that. You can always come back, maybe not to that job, but you can always come back and be an IT guy for another hospital somewhere. That job will always be there for you. Unless you do something, terrible to mess it up, which I don't believe you will, because you seem intelligent. So that will always be there. The DJ thing might not be, because nightclubs change, owners change, the way people go out changes. So the DJ thing, and obviously the DJ thing is your passion. If you have to make a decision, if you have to, just be ready if you're going to quit your job, because right now you're doing 100 gigs a year, but it might not always be the case. At some point, it dries up. At some point, it goes away. At some point, somebody is going to come along and he's a better DJ, or he's a brother of the guy that owns the big German nightclub thing with 3 clubs and 2 little ones. Something comes along. So that's how my brain has always operated. My brain's always operated with try to be the best, but always know that the time will come where someone might try to take it from you, or you won't want to do it anymore, or you'll find something else you're interested in. So I think if you can, keep both and treat all of your DJ money. If you can live off of what you're telling me is you can live off of one of these salaries, because you're saying, I'm thinking about quitting and fully focusing on music. And by music, I'm guessing you mean just DJing, unless you're making music. But that's a whole other thing. And I would not recommend that you quit if you're thinking that you're going to get like a major record deal, or, that, if you careful with that. So you're telling me that you're thinking of quitting your job because you're fully going to invest your time into DJing, which means that DJing can pay all of your bills, which means you have an extra on top of something that can cover all your bills. Whether you use your IT job to pay your bills or your DJ job to pay your bills, you have double what you need right now. And that means that you should be putting away money somewhere smart for the future. That's my opinion. Talk to somebody that's a banker, someone that's invested, someone that you trust. I'm going to continue here. As I mentioned above, passing the 100 booking mark and earning as much money through DJing. Okay, I think I read that. Quit your job as long as it stays in this condition. It's never going to stay in that condition for too long. I surprisingly discovered, listening to your podcast, that the U.S. market seems to be quite different to German nightlife. So as I'm a very talented talker, I thought about doing a similar podcast to you, but tailored to German nightlife. I would love to be your American guest. Of course, giving credit to you. You don't have to give me credit, man. If you make your own podcast in German, and if you think you're a talented talker, if people want to listen to it, look, I'll make you a deal. You put out 5 hours of content through a podcast, and I'll do your podcast, and I will plug it on this podcast, and I'll put it on my Instagram. 5 hours, and I'll do your show. All right, moving on. There's another one that's... Okay, this part... You know what you're asking me here, Manu. I'm not going to read this out loud. So, and here's another one. To answer this question that you asked me, no. And and I'm not reading this part either. So let's move on here. All right, so the next question is going to be, how do you convince a woman that DJing is still a job? The last women that I met were all like you're just partying and drinking and all those other girls, blah, blah. Right now, it's kind of frustrating because every time I'm interested in someone, we get stuck on the same problem. But I swear to myself that there would never be a woman that could separate me from DJing. All right, so in regards to that, German culture might be different. Here, as far as the United States, when you're your own boss, when you're an entrepreneur, whether it be DJing or if you're doing something late at night, selling, I don't know, something American to China, or you're buying something from China and you have to deal with people on a different time frame. Let's say you're up all night. That's looked up as like, wow, you're hustling, you're grinding, you're up when you should be sleeping, you're doing work, you're making it count, you're making money. Now, I don't know what German culture is like. So there might not be any way to convince these women that you are a responsible person that's making double salary because you're doing great. So there maybe right now a relationship in the next like year or 2 years, 3 years, maybe a strong, serious relationship is not for you. And what usually happens when someone says that is you immediately get one. So maybe the best way to show, if I'm kind of interpreting German culture the right way, the best way to show a woman that what you're doing is serious business is to bring them into your flat, apartment for us Westerners. Bring her into your flat that you bought, that you are debt-free, and that you show her, hey, I've been a DJ and an IT guy for the last 2 years. This is my flat. It's paid off. Do you want to go to dinner at a really nice restaurant? I'll pay for it because I've done really smart things with my money and I'm a responsible person, even though I work nightlife. There's no better display of your ability to be able to go out and do responsible things. And I think that regardless of the culture, some women would probably be impressed by that. The fact that you have your shit together, that you have your own place, that you're making your own money, and that you're not some crazy drug guy that's out there drinking and getting crazy every night. I mean, if you have a day job and you're working nights, obviously you're making it work. So again, this is outside of my cultural wheelhouse. I wouldn't be able to give you an exact answer here, but maybe you need to focus on yourself for a while. I'm not saying don't see women, obviously. That's ridiculous. But maybe don't search for that very, very serious connection for now. Try to keep it light. And I promise you something's going to come along and it's going to be good for you. The way that I basically traversed my early 20s and mid 20s and late 20s, what I did was I spoke to every girlfriend that I had, like serious girlfriend, before they became a serious girlfriend, and I said, look, my job is how I make everything work. Like the job is the cornerstone to my existence, because my job allows me to eat, it allows me to travel, it allows me free time, it allows us to go to the movies, it allows us to do whatever we want. The one thing you cannot bother me about is my job, because if you start bugging me about making money, then you have to go away, because I cannot keep a girlfriend if I'm not making money, because we can't do shit and you're just going to leave anyway. So if I'm going to lose my job and my girlfriend, then you're leaving first, because I'm going to keep my job and get another one. Now, that might be a little harsh. I didn't say it in those words exactly, but that's basically the gist of what I would get to. It's like, you can't fuck with my job, because then we got nothing. And if I got nothing, most likely you're not going to stick around. And the reason why you're not going to stick around is not because of the money. You're not going to stick around because if you really loved me, then you would let me do what I thought was best and you would support me. So you don't really love me. You just want me to quit my night job because you're afraid I'm going to touch other girls, which is stupid. Get out now anyway. So you don't need anything serious now, man. You need to focus on yourself. The way that you're describing your situation, you can set yourself up for the next, couple of years doing this, and you will thank me when you're 35. if your house is paid off, your flat is paid off, if you have money in the bank, if you have investments, and now you get to pick which one you want to do, IT, DJ, you know what, I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going on holiday for 2 months because I worked really hard for 7 years. You're 35 years old doing whatever the hell you want. That's priceless, dude. It's just a small sacrifice for now and to do both things, and I think that it could pay off in the long run. Again, you do have that plan B, which is, just quit the IT job. You can always go back to it, but I think you should do both. Okay. So, one last thing. Hearing protection. I don't use earplugs. I watch my monitors. If I go somewhere and it's too loud, I'll try to move to like a dead pocket inside of the club if I'm like listening to somebody. But I have pretty good hearing, considering the amount of years that I have in the nightclub business. I'm going to guess I have between, 5 and 10% at most. I'm going to say closer to 5. Single digit hearing loss, most likely, in my right ear. In my left ear is probably even lower than that, between 0 and 5%, because I always keep my headphones on. But I don't use headphones because I like to feel loud music. But you're mentioning that when you're DJing yourself, you use in-ear monitors. That's good. I usually have the beep in your ears called tinnitus or tinnitus. So anyway, yeah, look, you should definitely protect your ears if you're not careful with your monitors and being around really loud speakers. I haven't had that problem because I'm very aware of my surroundings. So, if you have a question, please email me at let me just rephrase. If you have a question, email me, myfavoritepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's myfavoritepodcast@gmail.com. I'll answer your question. If you don't want me to read it with your name, I'll just mention it as an anonymous question, and I don't have to read your name because I've read questions like that in the past. If you guys have a mix, I haven't received the mix in a minute. I don't know. There's like thousands of people that listen to this. I feature DJ mixes on this podcast. If you have a mix, 45 minutes, send it to me. If it's good, I will put it on the podcast, and DJs from around the world will listen to your mix. 45-minute mix. Send it to me. Remember that your primary audience is DJs, so don't play the same shit that we hear every weekend. You can do anything you want as long as you feel good about the music that you're playing, and it's not the same shit that we all hear. We're all DJs. I'll put it up. I'll throw up your social media. I featured several mixes already. Send them to me. Same email. myfavoritepodcast@gmail.com. And I think there was one more thing that I had to say, but now I forgot. Oh, Club Killers. My Club Killers mix is going to drop. I'll give you guys the exact date. The Club Killers mix that I have completed is going to drop on Monday, January 21st. So if something changes, I'll let you guys know. But be on the lookout for my newest Club Killer mix. It's going to be Monday, January 21st. I'm going to start posting maybe little snippets of it on my social media accounts. Please follow me, My Favorite DJ, on Twitter and Instagram. I don't really check Facebook. I don't think a lot of young people do anymore. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys for listening. This is My Favorite DJ, the podcast. I will be back next Monday with a mix that I did for MIA Radio. Guys, send me your mixes. I'm ready to listen to 45-minute mixes from you guys. I want to feature them on the podcast. They don't have to be crazy mixes that you took a million years to make. You could just mix live, play songs that you like, play songs that DJs don't hear very often. I will feature it on the podcast. People from around the world will listen to it. This gets thousands of listens, and you will get your name out there amongst a bunch of people. So I'm ready to feature DJs if you're ready to do the work and send me a mix. Thank you guys for listening. I'll catch you guys next Monday.